Hello.
Hello.
Yay.
Woo.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, for our November live show.
Woo.
We are going to be talking about The Deep Sky by Yume Kitasei. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. But yes, Steph has it. It's a really cool cover.
It's so beautiful.
And yeah,
I'm glad we read this
introductions first. I'm Melody. This is my channel. I might be back soon. I might be making a comeback, guys.
one.
But we'll see about that. So Steph.
Hello. My name's Steph. This is my channel. Well, wait. There is my channel. I post. I do. I promise. November
We're
is
all
like,
cash.
yeah. I'm like I try to post like at least once a week. November was really busy, but I already have I filmed a bunch of things this weekend, and now I just need to edit them. So,
Mhm.
and that's Jessa.
Hi, I'm Jessa from Gavin with Jessa. Same. I am slowly making my return back. Have ideas all up here. Have some videos. Just need to find time, but that's okay because 2024 is going to be a brand new year because we're so close. I can't believe that we're like just a tiny bit a month away. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Blah.
But everyone is linked down below, so check them out, please, if you haven't already. And yeah, we're going to start with non-spoilers. And anybody want to do like a synopsis? Or I can? Up to y'all. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, so The Deep Sky is about a spaceship kind of thing that is launched from Earth to is set in the future, and they're like Earth is a catastrophe right now. There's global warming, political problems, a lot is happening in Earth. So they're trying to go to a new planet and hopefully figure things out, make a new civilization. And we follow Azuka as they're waking up from stasis and stuff. They're woken up for a couple months, and then a bomb happens. This is in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler, but there's a bomb. There's maybe possibly a traitor. They're like off course to the planet now, so they have to figure things out. And yeah, it's like a mystery sci-fi-ish kind of thing. Did I miss anything?
No.
Hello.
Hello.
Gosh.
Thanks for joining.
We are
Yes.
missing one more member. We're missing Max, but Max will be here next month. He's having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But he'll get more tech updates. So that's nice.
Yeah, this was like marketed as like Among Us in space. And definitely, especially in the beginning when they're kind of talking about the ship, you can see the layout of the ship. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, like I do kind of feel like I'm playing Among Us, like with people having different jobs and the different locations of where you're supposed to go. And granted, I haven't played Among Us in a while, but those like core memories of playing it during like COVID and things like that, definitely like I could see it. Maybe that wasn't the author's intention, but like it just like felt like that, and I'm very glad because I think it was pretty fun just to kind of think back to that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a standalone, so if people are looking for a series, this might be a good fit for you.
Yay! We love a good sci-fi standalone.
Yes.
Please recommend more of those in the chat because next month we're reading a start of a new series and we're like, oh my gosh.
But it's a long anticipated series.
Yes.
So
Yes.
But what did you guys rate it overall? General thoughts.
I gave it 4.5. I was having a blast during it. Some parts dragged for me, which is why I brought it down, but I loved it. I had a great time with it.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm kind of sitting at like a 4 to a 4.25. I had a good time. There were some points where I was sitting in my bed reading this and I was like, oh snap, and then my partner looks over me, he's like, what? I'm like, it just got traumatic.
I am also like Steph 4 stars, I think. This was a really fast read though. I
Yeah.
think most people in this book club know I don't start the books till like the Saturday before the live. But it was really a fast-paced read because this book is like 400, almost 500 pages.
About 400.
Yeah.
400 pages, but I didn't feel like it because so much
No,
was happening.
It's
But
very. Yeah, I have a ton of suggestions I want to make for this book, but I'll save them for the spoiler section. But definitely I will say, like, for me, it felt like I could see that this was a debut novel, you know?
Yes,
And
I
I'm
do
like,
agree.
these are like really good ideas, great characters,
Mhm.
great science fiction. I'm like, oh man, you could do this, you could do that. What happened? So I'm like, I really feel hopeful for this author because
Mhm.
if this is where they're starting, what they're gonna do next is probably gonna be great.
Right.
I can see that.
Josh, tell us your thoughts.
Yes, what rating? But how do you guys feel about the mystery? Was it like mystery enough for you?
I think it was. It wasn't what I ended up thinking it was going to be. And again, maybe I just missed something, but I was genuinely surprised. And I think that there was a lot of very basic, just because I also do really like reading like mystery and thrillers and things like that. So I think I saw a lot of the basic tropes of like mystery and thrillers like kind of thrown in there. So that made me happy because like I'm just a sucker for anything like that. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I couldn't figure it out. Also because even though I read a ton of mystery and thrillers, I still can't figure it out. But I thought it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, in the spoilers, I want to know when everybody figured it out or had the right guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. I feel like once the mystery was revealed, it wasn't like a oh my gosh kind of
Mhm.
moment for me. It was
Right.
kind of like, yeah, at this point, everyone is a suspect. Whoever, if they would have pointed to someone on the left and say that they did it, I'd be like, yeah. And if they pointed someone this way and say they did it, I'd be like, yeah. So like
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
be anybody. um, so I feel like what gripped me more was my investment in like the characters' relationships.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm. And the success of the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the success was the mission for me.
Mhm.
I was like a bomb happening. I did see somebody in the chat asking about whether like a bomb would actually set a spaceship off its course or
Mhm.
something. And I was like, I'm not sciencey enough for that.
So I think it would.
Mhm.
That part I didn't question so much just because like similarly to the way that rocket propulsion works in space, like if it's in the right area, because I think they had to do it outside, right? Because there was a bunch of things that were going on, which trying to avoid spoilers, but like the engine area, something happened there, so they needed something to propel them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
so they were able to do that because I believe it followed kind of like the same rules as the engine that they would have had in that area anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
That makes sense.
just like Google rocket propulsion, or we could talk about it more. If you don't want to go to the spoilers, just like if you have a question about that, Google rocket propulsion and it comes
Yeah.
up. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really question it too much. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense to me. So, I really like the not dual perspective because we were always in Asuka's mind, but I liked going back and forth between learning about what they had to do and what they had to, how much it really took to get selected on this mission. So in those flashback sequences of like 10 years before the launch, like 15 years before the launch, and I think that was a really interesting way to learn not just more about her main character, especially things with like her family early on, but also just the other characters and kind of like how they developed over time as well because they were all in the same boarding school like program to be able to go on the mission. And so I really liked learning about who they were before and who they are now, and how that contributed to learning more about them.
I was conflicted about the flashbacks because I really liked it in the beginning, but then
Mhm.
towards the middle, I'm like, I just want to know what happens next. Like, did they catch whoever like did it or
Mhm.
whatever's happening? A lot was happening, and
A
I was
lot
like,
was
I just need to like finish this flashback really quick. But the ending, I think, like the last after all the flashbacks, that was like
Mhm.
part of my favorite parts of the book. I think.
Yeah, I was also conflicted about the flashbacks. Like, I was going over in my mind, like, okay, I feel like the flashbacks are essential, or at least
Mhm.
the information of what happened pre-mission was super essential. But I was like, okay, if they had just put all of that in the beginning and made this like more linear,
Mm,
we may not have been interested enough to get to the end. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I have some ideas of other ways that they could have done this.
hmm.
Again, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so like for a while I was back and forth like, "Oh, I don't know if I like the flashbacks or I do." But I think because we spent so much time like getting to know the immediate crew or like the administrative crew so
Yeah.
intimately, I was like, "Okay, I want what's best for all of them."
Nobody else died.
Yeah. But there's
Okay.
supposed to be like 80 something crew members on this mission, so
Mhm.
um overall we don't get to see all 80 members. We probably see like maybe 10,
Yeah.
12 to 15 at the most, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Should we
I
talk
like
about what the mission was about?
yeah.
I haven't described it yet. Like, wait, we're talking about this mission, but like, why?
Yeah.
Why are they on a mission? Does anybody feel
Not
like
me.
So the main thing is that they're trying to, and hopefully I got this right, go to planet X and just essentially create new life because they're not new life, obviously, because they're already created, but to kind of reestablish and re-inhabit something, go to a new place because Earth is. I think they talk a lot about different types of environmental disasters that have been going on, so it's not really sustainable or not going to be in the near future. So they want to essentially prep and get ahead of time because also, unless I miss this, or just missed it somewhere, everyone on the ship is someone who is able to give birth.
Mhm.
And so they also have to be fertile and be able to give birth. So that way, I think Asuka goes through, like, she's been having issues getting pregnant. And so, or at least keeping the pregnancy. So they always have to make sure that they keep trying. And I think she's like, oh, I just pressed like the random button on whoever's whoever is going to be implanted into me. Like I just like didn't care if it was a doctor or a sports player or something like that. So they also need to make sure that they're able to give birth so that, or at least everyone on the ship can give birth so that way they can start this new life.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Also, I loved it. Yay! Definitely did like who can we trust part of it, and I like the main character.
Mhm.
Also, I agree since it could have been anyone, I wasn't like shocked about it.
Mhm.
Agreed. I was suspecting everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really felt for Asuka, the main character, like her inner turmoil. I just my heart broke and I wanted to give her a big old hug. Like, no, it's okay. You deserve everything that you want. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
And also, everybody called her Susie. They didn't call
Susie?
her Asuka. And I was like, where did this nickname or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this book makes a ton of social commentary. There's a lot of, even though it's set in the future, we know it's at least set after the year like 2060 because at one point they talk about an event that to them was a historical event that happened in the year 2060. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like way in the future for us. And her being half Japanese and half American, I think what she experiences a lot of an identity crisis
Mm-hmm.
and like reckoning with her culture, and also being torn between parents who are like bringing her between two countries and representing her nation, but that's like only part of who she identifies with. She's like, I am all of these things and I am one of these things, right? So like what does that mean for someone who is supposed to represent a country and it's like purest form, but she herself is she used the word gaijin, right, which is to mean like a mixed person. And so her doing that identity crisis, I think something that we saw in this was that people around her gave her the nickname Susie without necessarily asking her if that's was okay, because it's just like a common thing, I think, in American society for people to just give each other a nickname, or like what's easier for them to say, for us to say, without even asking that person, like, what do you want me to call you? So that being said, there's a lot of commentary in here about like socio-political climates and war, and like implicit bias and like gender norms and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Anything else that's non-spoilery?
Yeah, I didn't expect this book to be so politically charged. And yeah, I'll like get into the specifics later, but I mean, with the premise that Jessa explained of it being this mission that all the countries in the world, or any of the countries who have any kind of wealth that they can expend on this mission, are sending representatives to go to a new planet to start human civilization over, that's going to come with a whole load of baggage. And I feel like the author really took that head on, and that's what I was surprisingly pleased. Like, okay, wasn't afraid to like make any parallels that might ruffle some feathers. And if it ruffles feathers, then like questionable, why are your feathers being ruffled? But anyways, but yeah, I don't know how else to talk about that in a non-spoilery way, if anyone has an idea.
I feel like it's hard with non-spoilers.
Yeah. There was a great it talks a lot about, would Alpha be considered an AI? Is it an
Yeah,
AI?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, so there's an AI that's at the center of this, because in this world, people, since it's in the future, there's a lot of technology that is speculated at, and so one of them being this like implant in your head that allows you to see or change your environment. So like that also goes into it, like ethics goes into it, and as like a survival mechanism and a coping mechanism for everything that these people are going through. So like at least I feel like I gave it some points for having some really interesting and fun like speculations on future technology. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, because they're like it's basically, I feel like a virtual reality, but like to the max, which I thought was really interesting. And I think it was interesting that everybody, like going with like the political aspect of it, that everybody who had a seat on the ship had to get a seat via the country they come from paying for a spot. So any countries that don't have the money probably couldn't get a spot. And I was wondering, like, they had, for all the people on the ship, they're trying to get everyone pregnant, so they had a sperm donation bank, and they were trying to keep like variability in racial aspects and everything. And I was wondering if people had to pay for that as well.
That's a great
How
question.
that went into things in the future.
That's a great question. Yeah. So again, like so many questions about ethics. And all of it is touched on, I think, at certain points, like through different character interactions with the different systems that they're using, like if they're using the fertilization system, or if they're interacting with the AI, or they're interacting with like the agriculture on the ship or something like that. Like there's moments of commentary. These are areas where I feel like why I didn't give it 5 stars is just because like I wanted more. But I was like, ooh, yummy. Give me more. Like, tell me more. Get into an argument with somebody, you know, like I want to hear what everybody else on the ship is thinking. Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me too, well, this is weird, but of like the Olympics and how everyone is like, oh, this is world unity and bonding and whatever. But like, you have to, it's not a world representation of the best in the world, because like you have to pay to get those spots there, or you have to pay for your athletes to go to whatever it is this year, Paris or whatever. And I love the Olympics, but it kind of made me think of, oh, when only like Japan only had like one spot, and then America had a certain amount of spots. It's like, that's what it reminded me of, because like you still may have the best available, but if you do not have the resources to pay for it, then someone who may be really equipped for this mission and may really want to go on it still may not be able to go because their country can't afford to send them.
Also, yeah, the AI being able to set up an AR for everyone so everyone sees the ship how they want was really interesting. I agree. I think that was one of the aspects I really liked about this book, was being able to see other people's realities, I guess, and what they wanted to see.
That was simultaneously super cool and super creepy. Like,
Yeah.
if that was on the market right now, I don't know what I would do, because I'd want to know so bad. But at the same time, I'm like, everyone can hack into my brain and I do not like this. Like, I don't want that. Oh my gosh. And like, as we see later on in the book when we get into the spoiler section, like, it does become a problem. So it's like, what price are we paying with our, like, what would the word be, like, our free will? Because, like, is it really free will anymore if we are making decisions based on what is being presented to us based on our interaction with this AR, like our perception of reality that's being altered because of our interactions with this? And that's a lot of power to give somebody. So I don't know. I might like sign like a temporary lease, like I'm like renting furniture, and be like, yeah, I'll rent this in my brain for like, give me 30-day trial and then I'll take it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the AR setup on Earth, but I would not want the version they had on the ship that it's a chip in your head and not the AR headset. Yeah. I would get the like goggles, kind of like what we already have, but a lot more advanced, like goggles.
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust somebody to put a chip in me though.
No, absolutely not.
It's a little too much.
Yeah. Didn't the Google Lens, or wasn't there like a Google Glass?
Google Glass?
Is that still a thing?
I have no idea. I think about that like once a month. And kind of the same thing. I'm like, is that still a thing? That just seems so popular, and I have not heard a single thing about it.
What is it? Is it like a virtual reality thing?
It was like, I don't know. It was just like a pair of glasses where you could like watch TV and
I'm
like
Googling it.
answer your texts, I think. So
yeah, I'm Googling it. Yeah, it was like a pair of glasses, and it had this little, it almost looked like, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, how like oh my god, what was her name? Vegeta and the crew. They used to wear the glasses that would kind of like measure somebody's power level, and have that little thingy that would go over like this and go it looked like that, except for like if you're a BMX biker, kind of. Let me see. I'm Googling it right now.
Google Glass specifically, no, it was too early. There are newer versions people are starting to do now.
It was $1,500. Oh my god.
$1,500?
Yeah.
That's like more expensive than a laptop.
Damn.
That's what this Henderson. Okay.
I don't know. Thank you for taking. Yeah, that doesn't tell me anything. Basically, it's off the market right now. But they're working on something new. So
someone got your Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, it's over 9,000. It's like I love Vegeta so much. Yes, the Scouter. Oh, you get me. Yes. Not gonna lie, that would have made an awesome cosplay, but not for $1,500.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know about that for the future. Like, I don't know. I don't, like, personally, I get my brain is not working today. The words for when you are exhausted from looking at screens all day. Do you know what I mean? Like
I know what you mean, but I don't know the word.
I didn't know there was a word for it.
Yeah, like from looking at like, oh, I want to watch a TV show. I need a TV screen. I need to do work. I'm on a computer for 10 hours. I want to talk to my friends. I'm looking at my phone screen. Like screen burnout from having light being projected to my eyeballs and my retinas from like a foot away all day. So I get screen burnout. So having a glasses that does that too, which is like projecting information into my retinas. I need to go touch some grass. Like, no, okay. Yes, let's
Yes.
go.
I do not get them half the time, so we
That's
need
okay.
somebody in the group who does.
Thank you, Josh. But yeah.
Also, virtual reality now, like the goggles, I've tried them and I get like motion sickness or something when wearing them.
That's
Mhm.
fair. That's fair. I did it once at my local arcade. They had the zombie one. And
Mhm.
I'm really glad that they had the harness that straps you within like a 5-foot perimeter, because the way I would have dipped, I was just like, oh,
Oh no!
oh, it was
That
great.
sounds so creepy.
But yeah, so that's a big ixnay on the brain implante. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Any other non-spoilers, or should we? Ooh, Hugo.
hey,
Ooh, hello.
We're probably about to do spoilers soon.
woo.
But
Oh,
thanks for
Ginyu
having
Force.
on.
That's what it was called. Sorry, it just like popped in my brain now. It's okay. That was Dragon Ball Z.
Wait,
Anyway.
what is it called?
The Ginyu Force.
Okay.
It's the whole. Sorry. That was a really late thought. Okay. But yes, non-spoilers. Spoilers, whatever.
Spoilers
Go
now,
around.
or are we good
Yeah.
with non-spoilers? Okay, spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, please kindly leave.
Peace. There will probably be independent reviews on our channels and or TikTok. So like,
Mhm.
go subscribe.
Yeah.
Everyone's linked down below. Okay, I want to know when people figured out who it was.
I don't really think I ever did. I was too stupid for this, but I thought it was Alpha because I remember seeing your message in the Discord, Steph. I was like about chapter 40, and then I read your message about Alpha seems suspicious. I'm like, just you wait. And I'm like, oh, I thought it wasn't Alpha in the end. So I thought it was, yeah, the Alpha the whole time, but I was wrong.
When I was told. Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I definitely felt like it was Alpha from the beginning, but at the same time it was like, okay, well, Alpha is programmed and someone in the vicinity has power over Alpha in some way.
Yeah.
So it could be anybody. If they would have said it was the janitor, I would have been like, yep, it's the janitor. I don't know. Like,
I figured when they found the remote. Because they went to like after they tied up Ruth and Asuka, and then Ruth went back and found the remote in like the agriculture pod or whatever. I was like, oh, it must have been that girl that got injured, her roommate that was in there. But
yeah.
It's good that everybody was guessing though, because I wasn't sure either. I thought it was Alpha in the beginning too. I was like, Alpha's so sus.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of liked the way that
MC is
That's true. You know what's so funny is the entire time, because she kept saying how like she does a little bit of everything, it never popped in my mind that she's basically maintenance.
Yeah.
Until literally you just said that right now.
Because I mean, like,
feel like it was nice that you knew a little of everything, though.
Yeah, super helpful. Also makes sense.
I think you were saying something before that.
But like, I liked that ultimately the person who was responsible for it, that they weren't malicious, that it was just like they were desperately wanted to do this in a way that wouldn't hurt everybody and would just send them back home. And that was just really more, I felt like that was more of a sad outcome.
Yeah, than somebody who just wanted to destroy the mission.
Yeah.
Especially when we find out that her sister died because their country didn't have enough money to build a wall that was tall enough to withstand a tsunami or whatever it was.
Yeah, because didn't they say it was only like 2 feet or 2 inches or something too
Yeah.
short? Like it was like almost right there, but then they ran out of money for it.
It's really sad. There's a lot of sad things about this book. This book was sad, okay?
Yeah. People had a rough life.
Oh.
Especially the main character.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh no.
Oh, and her relationship with her mom was stressing me out. I was like, no. No.
I wanted them to like when she wanted to send a message back to her mom and then the walkie-talkie just like gets crashed. I was like, come on.
Oh.
That was I liked the ending though. I like it wasn't like, oh, I'm in the future and whatever. It was like just a note to the mom. And
Okay. Okay. Can I go off? Because this is where I have suggestions.
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. I desperately wanted this to be a mixed media book. Like I wanted documents, I wanted recordings, I wanted pictures of all 88 members, and like as we go, we like cross out people, whatever, like Illuminate style. I really wanted this to feel more like that kind of mystery. But that being said, I think there was something about like the idea that Asuka is reconciling with, should I have kids or should I keep pushing to try to have a baby for the purpose of the mission, or should I just be okay with like not having a baby? And so I really love it for her that she decided that ultimately she's like, you know what? If I don't have a baby, that's okay. That doesn't mean that I'm not a major contribution to society just because I can't have a kid. So like shout out to the author for making this whole book about like women and all kinds of women. So that was wonderful.
Yeah.
But like I felt like Asuka's biggest turmoil, or one of the bigger turmoils in all this, was like, am I doing enough to have an impact on the future and like society, and like am I gonna leave a good impression? And so it would have been something interesting for me if it had been a multimedia book and we were getting like someone reading this book from the future and she's in the history books or something like that. Like they made it to the planet and now the history books of how the space mission went or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like, I love this so much, and it also could have been so many more things, but I feel like I'm asking a lot of a debut author. So I'm just like, Yume Kitasei, please give me this.
That would be really, really cool. I feel like not enough books are mixed media format.
I agree.
Maybe it doesn't like go well with like marketing or whatever. Getting a publisher to want to sell your book or whatever.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it could also just be that I've been reading a lot of mixed media recently. Like that's I love it so much, but yeah. So who was your guys' favorite character?
Was it bad that I didn't really love any of them?
That's okay.
I feel like that was why, for me, books that I really love is when I really like the character too, or like I'm attached to somebody, but I wasn't super attached to anyone.
I just like, there's different parts about all of them that I enjoyed that made it more fun, that we could see like complete, like especially with this mission, it seemed like, oh, you need to have like a good amount of people that can survive, do the same thing, but everyone had their own special thing about them, whether they were a little more like tough, whether they were more carefree. And I think it was just a fun bunch of people that aren't necessarily all good in a way, but that just had a fun mix of characters to keep us on the edge of our seats and kind of just follow, even though we're still only following one person, to kind of get to know the rest of them as well and kind of focus on them a little bit. I think they were all kind of fun. They were entertaining to me.
How about you, Steph?
Me? I don't know. I really like the main character a lot. Who else? I don't know. I kind of liked everybody because they were very dynamic.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like some of them were a bit more steadfast in their morals, and some of them weren't.
Mhm.
But I like the conversations that they had about it. Part of me feels bad that my least favorite character was her mom.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think that's fair though.
is it? I don't know, because I also feel like her mom is going through so much as well. So like I kind of want to give her some credit for being someone who's like dealing with a lot emotionally. Like she has a husband
Mhm.
that works overseas and like a marriage that's falling apart. She lost her son. Her
Mhm.
daughter is gonna leave, so she's essentially alone, and she's kind of like looking to anybody to give her guidance. So she finds this. Is it a cult? I don't know if it's a cult, but like
Activist
depression.
group?
Yeah, activist group, but then they try to take credit for the bombing. So like,
Right.
are they
Yeah.
still an activist group even if they
Mhm.
didn't do it? Like, what? That's sus. So yeah, she's just like, and I feel like depression puts you in a weird place where you make decisions that you wouldn't usually make. So I feel
Hmm.
really bad for her, and I feel bad that I didn't like her. I don't
I
know.
feel like she wasn't in the book enough for me to have feelings about her. Yeah, the MC was my fave, and the AI might be my second fave. And yeah, I think disliking her mom is normal.
Okay.
I'll call it a cult.
Yeah.
I with the I thought it was interesting how this AI was done. I don't know. I feel like I don't read a lot of enough sci-fi to be part of a sci-fi book club.
Same, sometimes same.
It
I
says the
think
people who've been hosting a sci-fi book club for 3+ years.
it's my once a month sci-fi fix.
I think that counts.
But I think that I feel like in a lot of books, the AI knows like everything or sees everything. And it's kind of cool how Alpha like didn't know things and like gave sass about like not being able to like track every single thing that's going on in the ship. I'm like, that's fair, Alpha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Alpha's really smart with like the bird metaphor thing going on that I didn't really
Mhm.
understand, but pretty
Yeah, I
smart.
like those little interludes of like just like every now and then, just I have fun learning about birds.
Mhm.
But I think yeah, it was really fun breaks like in between. And I'm like, okay, birds gotta mean something. And there's that one bird on the cover, or it's like half a bird. Um, and so I really like the bird metaphor that they were going for to also help you kind of track that it was Gabriella.
Mhm.
That's big brain energy.
Mhm.
I feel like reading 12 sci-fi books a year for 3 years is maybe.
I agree.
Okay.
Definitely probably at least more than the average general
Mhm.
reader.
Okay. I'm a sci-fi reader, guys.
Ayy. Stamp of approval.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I really liked Alpha too. I kind of still struggled with like, is is it good intentioned or is it not a good intentioned? I think it's really interesting that I was kind of programmed to be good intentioned, and that sometimes that got in the way and sometimes it didn't.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that just kind of goes to show that there's still nuance to so many things. Like even if you create a million contingencies when you're creating this AI that's gonna basically help run people's lives, there's things that we couldn't possibly account for. So things that may
Mhm.
be helpful may ultimately not be helpful.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how they could have like built something around that.
This book club is basically my fix of sci-fi. Yes, in the
Yeah.
normal fantasy reading. Yep. Exactly.
Yep.
Feel that.
So, yeah, I don't know. I really liked it, and I felt bad for it too when it was asking like, "No, don't turn me off." Uh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but then I also felt kind of weird when they were like, "What's it? Oh, Alpha, I love you, Alpha," and I'm just like, that's a little weird to me too because you
Yeah,
can't
that
tell
was
me that. I'm
weird.
like, I don't know about that either. Is it
Mhm.
sentient though? Like I never got the full sense that it was really sentient.
Right.
I don't
Mhm. Because I think other books we like want like Becky Chambers. We're like, oh my gosh, the AI, we love it. But yeah, this one I feel like there wasn't enough like emotional connection for it to be like, oh, I love you or whatever.
Mhm.
But I guess it was working as a therapist, kind of. So
know.
maybe
Yeah.
I thought that would like work on them.
Mhm. Here's a question. So basically, because it was a therapist, if anybody who's watching this who is a therapist can answer this question, I would love that. Um, because the idea that it wasn't allowed to break its protocol to tell them who the danger was, but
Mhm.
it was dropping hints and just being like, hope you get this because this is the most that I can do to drop you a hint that this is something that you need to be aware of.
Mm.
How does that relate to any therapy, anything like for a therapist, like if they have a client or someone who that they know needs to be told something, but that they can't tell them maybe for whatever ethical reasons directly, they needed them to come to it themselves. Like I'd be so curious to hear where the lines are
Mhm.
drawn for that and like what the regulation is, or if that's something that happens frequently. I don't know. Just
Mhm.
side question.
Mm. I do not know the answer to this question.
Whoever's watching this in the future, let us know.
Yeah, if you're a therapist and know
Yeah.
the answer.
But yeah.
Yes.
What do we think about the training?
Can we talk about how they're all child prodigies, basically? Because they all started this, all the flashbacks started when they were 12. And I was
Mhm.
like, these are not 12-year
Mhm.
olds.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trauma for a 12-year-old to go
That's a
through.
lot of pressure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. And I kind of understood where the mom was coming from for in the beginning. Like, because I think by the time they finished training, they were like 20, 21 or something
Yeah.
around
Mhm.
like very early 20s. So I feel like by that point, if they still wanted to go forward with the mission, like, okay, you're an adult, like, make your decision. But at 12 years old, to fully comprehend the gravity of what you're signing on for to do with the rest of your life, I'm like, no.
Mhm.
Right. Because you may get those people that are like, I think space is cool. I want to go there. And then they go through this whole thing and then they realize, oh, I just wasted 10 years of my life doing this, or nearly 10 years of my life. And it's not exactly at all what I expected it to be. I just liked outer space. So that's why I wanted to do it. So, because at
Mhm,
12 years old, I mean, obviously you're growing up a little bit more, but you still have that mindset of like, oh, I think this is cool. That's what I want to do. And
mhm,
not really knowing the ramifications that can come behind it.
And
mhm,
then you might not even know what you want to do because you're like, that was your whole life basically. Your whole childhood was in this
Mhm.
school and you haven't like really done anything else besides it. So, yeah. Also,
mhm,
I think there's a lot of, if you wanted to drop out, everybody part of the school has like social media, I think, and they're like basically celebrities. So I feel like it's
Mhm.
a lot of pressure if you want to drop out because you're like letting down your country or whatever and your fans. And I'm like,
mhm. And then also that part of the mission was you have to agree to have a baby in 20 years. Like,
yeah.
when you're a teenager, some people know early on, like, they wanna be parents one day, but a lot of people don't figure that out till they get older, like, is this
Yeah.
something that I actually want for myself? So to ask someone when they're 12 to sign a contract that, like, yeah, you're gonna go to this school for 10 years, and then you're gonna sleep for 10 years, and when you're, like, 31, 32, you're gonna come out of this sleep coma and have a baby, like, do you want this 12-year-old? Like, I
Mhm.
don't know.
Can you even take
Yeah,
care of
'cause
a
even at that age,
child?
yeah, like at that age again, you're just like, yeah, sure, that's fine, because that's what you obviously are probably growing up with some kind of parental figure, whether or not that be biological parents or not. Still, you probably have someone in your life, and you're like, yeah, that's just what people do, and so yeah, of course, I'm going to be okay with that, not knowing exactly what goes into that whole process. So,
Mhm. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, so I felt for these girls a lot. Which is something one more thing like I would have wanted just a little bit more. Like for me, if this book was 1,000 pages, but I got all this all the things that we're talking about fully flushed out, I would have been okay with that. Okay, maybe 1,000 pages is enough. Like an extra 100 pages where we got more of that, of them like talking about, okay, now I finished the program, because they did talk about it a little bit. Like they finished the program, some of them got in, some of them didn't, and they were like, okay, now what do I do with my life if I didn't get this, right?
Yeah.
Which it was kind of nice that they were like, okay, well, because they went to this rigorous program, they're all either like engineers or something else, and so they are able to get jobs in the things that they studied. Which is great. So they didn't necessarily waste 10 years, but also just like more of the psychological aspect of, did I really know what I was signing up for?
Is it bad that like the school part, my favorite part was when they were like giving the survival training and like traumatized? I was like, oh my god, it seems like so much fun reading it. Wouldn't want it to happen to me, but that was my favorite part of the training.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting too, because like Asuka was like, oh, I figured out that I am actually good at something here. I'm good at survival. And so I think that it's also a good commentary on people who may not be book smart or may not do well in school, like with studying and things like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean there isn't something important or valuable like about you. Your skills just may come in a different way. So that's how I also saw it. While it still is very scary and traumatizing, I thought that it was really interesting to be like, okay, you can do something that's not your studies and still very much excel. That is also important for what this mission needs.
I'm glad I'm not alone about this. I think that was also why I liked the end of the book, because people were like attacking each other, and I was like, oh, this is so much fun.
Yeah. I loved it.
Actually, that kind of could explain part of why it's our favorite part, because it also the part that the protagonist felt the best at. True.
Yeah. Yeah.
They should have just made a role for her. Like person to go to when there are emergencies.
Yes.
But another thing, I feel like they made a good point about kind of establishing their own rules when they go to the new planet, because I think since you're trying to build a new world, since your world went to like crap basically, maybe you don't want to follow everything that the old world did and listen to all of their orders. And somebody was like, yeah, if we're trying to make a utopia, why would we start it with a dictatorship? And I was like, oh, fair point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Good question. Yeah, and I was so surprised with the amount of like again the political commentary when they were talking about the Mackies and like the different groups that came out of this. And when it came up, I was like, oh no, that makes sense. That would probably actually happen. Like we have things like that now. Scary AF. Like it's very true. So like how I'd be curious if they're trying to prevent those, like if they're trying to create this utopia when they get over there, how they might have some things in place to prevent any of that spiraling out of control. Because like we saw, there were certain members of the team who were secretly, even though they cleaned their records, like did all these things and hid evidence that they were part of these groups because they believed in the mission. That you can believe in the mission but still be a fanatic or have these conspiracy theories or like your own ideas of what is going on. So like how do they protect the history of this voyage for future generations who could maybe after the planet is, you know, what's the word, settled and new civilizations come about and new cultures come about, could turn around and be like, we're from another planet called Earth. Psh, I don't have to believe that. What is this magical business you're talking about? And like, I feel like it never happened. Like, how do they prevent other conspiracies from happening? Like, that would be my question. so scary.
People would probably think that their history is part of a conspiracy because it sounds so out of this world.
So different from what's happening now. Just yeah, the incel group. Yeah. I kind of wanted to hear more about that. Because I feel like there were a bunch of times where the author just put up kind of a mirror to our own society.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a good thing that she didn't really go too deep into commentary about it, because it kind of just left us to ask our own questions about it.
I agree. I think if you went too deep, it would probably like lose some readers, or they have opposing views and stuff like that. So it's nice to like question yourself and society and the world. Anything else?
I don't know.
I feel like I hit most of the things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think so. Can we talk about the DAR really quick? So like, I know we talked about it a little bit already, but I think I asked this question in one of the earlier chats in the Discord about like the potential for DAR addiction. It's kind of like cell phone addiction, or like any other like social media addiction, or like any other addictions that are like prevalent now. Because I was interesting to me how many times when things changed in their environment, or how much they relied on the DAR and the AR to change, to comfort them. And the moment that it was gone, they immediately struggled to reconcile with their location. And how much that came into play when the whole battle ensued, that people were seeing those who were trying to get the implant out as zombies and other things. Like, that was super fun. I love that. That was like, probably one of my favorite parts of the book. But super scary too.
But also, hi Natalie. Thanks for coming by. We're on spoilers. You probably know
we're on
them.
spoilers.
Just
We're also
so you
closing
know.
out our thoughts. We had a lot of things to say today, which is great. This is a good one. Yeah.
But yes, about the addiction.
Yeah. I don't know. Like
it's crazy because like I like to think I'm not addicted. I can do life without technology or phone or something. But I know that as soon as I'm gonna stranded in the middle of nowhere, like my phone dies, but I'm trying to get from like point A to point B, and it's like a new route, I'm not gonna know how to get to where I'm going. And it's like, it's scary how much we do sometimes need to rely on like our internet or phones and things like that, and how we're not, there's not a lot of backups sometimes. Like, I know sometimes they want us for school to be very on our computers now and do a lot of things online, but as soon as the Wi-Fi like doesn't work in school, I'm like, I guess we'll just stare at each other because I didn't have anything else planned.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Forcefully putting people in a specific DAR stuff is messed up, and I'll totally see that being a thing. Yeah, like when they tied up Ruth in them and did like sensory deprivation or whatever it was. So it's like, oh, you could do that with the DAR.
Yeah, it's scary.
I think somebody did say, what if this whole book was a simulation? And I was like, I could see that happening. But I was thinking with addiction and stuff, I don't know. It wasn't like really specific about what happened to her brother. I don't know if it was an older brother or younger brother. Or did we just not know?
I forget.
I assumed younger, but I also don't really remember.
I think it was younger. I could be wrong. Someone correct us. And they didn't say, I don't think they said exactly what happened. Josh or someone else help us out. Like what? But we know that he passed away because of the fire.
He passed away in a swimming pool. I think they were living in like a motel. Yeah, I think he drowned.
I think he drowned, yeah.
But that's because they were trying to run away from the fire, right? Like they jumped in the pool.
No, I think that was after.
That was her mom and her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The brother and the dad got on the bus in time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, when you mentioned what if the whole book is part of each other, I know I could see that. I hate it.
Yeah, I would
That
hate it.
would make me not like this book, I feel like, if that was how the book ended.
Good thing it wasn't.
Younger. Okay.
Yeah, that just needed a little fleshing out.
Yeah,
But
I think he was just like in his own zone. I don't know, maybe if I just read this wrong, he was just kind of in his own zone. I just assumed he drowned because he went into like a lake or something, or yeah, like a pool or something when they were like already escaped from their first fire. They weren't at home or whatever, or maybe it was when they first went to Japan.
I read all of this yesterday, so I think it was they had the fire and then they went to a refugee camp kind of thing, and then people were like dying from the heat and stuff, so they finally got relocated to a motel. And then something happened in the pool, he drowned and died, and then they moved to Japan to get away from it.
That makes sense.
But I wasn't sure if it was, because they were like, she mentioned like, oh, maybe if she was awake, she could have said like, oh, like the virtual reality thing is like not real, like you can't actually breathe underwater and stuff. So I wasn't sure. And she mentioned once when she was wearing the goggles, like, oh, she thought she smelled chlorine, but that probably wasn't like actually a smell. So I wasn't sure if he was wearing the goggles when he passed, like he was like, wearing them and got into the pool, and that was how he drowned. I was like, oh, maybe that would be part of the addiction thing, but I'm not sure.
That's a big possibility because there were a bunch of scenes in the book where the characters were actively seeing things in their dar, but they were also just like in the ship. Like I remember this one particular scene where I think Asuka was having a conversation with someone and then they got flustered, and so they said like that character walked away to go stare at the wall. So to anyone who's on the outside not using DAR, it would look like that person is just staring at the wall, but in that person's head, they're like looking out a window or doing something, which means that it could potentially, if you're wearing it, you could walk into a dangerous situation thinking that you're seeing one thing, and that's not actually the case. So that could have, I think Mel probably has the closest suggestion of what happened.
But I don't know. It was kind of a mystery.
A mystery in a mystery.
Oh my gosh. Anything else? Any last thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't think so. It was a good one.
It was a good one, guys.
This was good. I recommend this.
Yes.
I do. I feel like we always get a hit or a miss. It's not always in between. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, this was good. Last month was good, roughly, generally, for me. So. This one was good. I hope next month is good too.
Hopefully. I have high hopes for next month. But yes, next month we are reading The 3 Body Problem by someone. Cixin Liu. Yes. And I have no idea what it is about, if you want to do the honor stuff.
Yeah, I'm not. I've heard of it. That's about all I know about it.
Yeah.
Wait, is there a synopsis? Hold on, I don't know.
Oh no.
Wait,
if not, I can look it up.
The back is just what do you call these blurbs? Blurbs by people. Wait, is there a synopsis? Oh wait, okay, I think I got it. Is this it? Okay, I'm just going to read this. I don't know if this is a synopsis. It says, set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space in an attempt to make contact with aliens, and they succeed. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to invade Earth. Now on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. The result is a science fiction masterpiece of enormous scope and vision. Woo, that sounds cool.
That
And
sounds
that is
good.
what Goodreads has. So yes, there was a synopsis.
Yay. So if you want to join us, that will be our December read, our last read of 2023, guys. That's crazy. It'll either be probably on Jessa or Max's channel. I think one of them is up. But yeah, thanks to everyone who joined and watched.
Thanks for joining us, guys. And let us know if you're watching this in the future if you have any thoughts as well.
Or answers to our questions.
And if you want to join us, the Discord link is below.
Okie dokie. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.